Being cinematic becomes a new trend. We're getting a little tired of aggressive, at-your-face delivering of video and photos all over the internet. So today, I'm accepting the challenge of transforming those three beautiful images to make them feel more cinematic. Get yourself some tea and let's get it going. Two things before we start. If you would like to follow this tutorial or practice by yourself, here's the website where I took all those great images from. It's called Signature Edits, and the best part about it, it's absolutely free. And the second thing, I'm gonna be using the Photoshop to get everything done today, but you can do the same thing with the Lightroom and you'll get 90% there. Just at the end, I'm gonna be applying some additional over-the-top layers kind of thing, like some overlays. So that's why you will need Photoshop. Image number one, we have this beautiful landscape shot, and I want to go for that warmer kind of vibe and maybe add some old film overlay. Let's see how it turns out. First of all, when I open the image in Photoshop, I have this camera raw filter, and basically what I'm gonna be doing now, you can do the same thing in Lightroom as I mentioned. I like to click this button right here. It kind of shows us the before and after, and I will start with light. I think the exposure is kind of alright on this image. I want to decrease the highlights because if you look up top on the sky, it kind of shows us a little bit more background when I'm decreasing the highlight, and I want to open the shadows to see the foreground a little bit. Then I'll go to color and add that temperature like I mentioned I'm going to. Probably something like this, not too warm, but still warmer. And then I'll add a little bit of vibrance. Lastly, let's go to the effect settings, and I want to add a lot of grain to this image because we want it to go after that oldish, old film style, so that kind of grain will definitely help. Maybe add a little bit of dehaze to kind of show even more of the background, and I'm gonna go to the light and just add a bit of exposure, something like this. Now I'm just gonna click open and open as an object. I think it already looks great. I'm just gonna add another curves layer, make it just a tiny bit brighter, something like this I think. And lastly, I went to the internet and found this film burn light overlay. You can do the same probably by just typing on Google light overlay for free. I'm gonna open the horizontal project right here, and what I'm after is that leaks layers right here. I'm gonna copy it and I'm gonna paste it into our project. Click OK, and this is obviously too much and not placed correctly, so we're gonna stretch it, make it bigger, something like this, and I want to flip it horizontally to have this side only. And what I'm gonna do now is decrease it to probably like 20%, so it's nothing crazy, but it's still kind of that warm tone right here. And I think that's it. If you look at before and after, I think we did a pretty decent job. Obviously you can like this leak overlay, you might not like it, that's just how I saw this image. But I think we brought up the colors, we brought up a little bit of contrast, and if you ask me, it looks more cinematic. Image number two that we are dealing with is completely different. We have this beautiful Ferris wheel on the left and some background, like city background on the right. So what I'm gonna shoot for is for those kind of colder tones and more contrasty look of the city. First of all, let's add a bit contrast, like a lot of contrast, something like this I think, and decrease the shadows. Next, I actually want to add a little bit of highlights right here, something like this, and when I go to color, I want to lower this temperature. As I said, we're going after that cold tone, so I wanted it to lower a pretty decent amount. Now, as we go to the effects, I think what would be cool is to add that vignette mask around, so probably going all the way to like -20, and I want to add a little bit of dehaze. Now it's kind of that mysterious, cloudy, cold look, and that's exactly what I was trying to achieve. Lastly, let's add a little bit of clarity, and at this point I think we are good to go. Now as you look at before and after, you see that we achieved exactly what we wanted to achieve. We made it cooler, we made it more contrasty, and it gives you more city vibes and also makes it a bit more mysterious. The only other interesting thing that I wanted to try with this one is what if we add some rain over the top. As I said, this is a little bit on the side, I just want to see how it looks. So I downloaded this layer textures right here. I think something like this, Rain 7, will work great, so I'm just gonna drag it over the top, click OK, and flip it to the screen mode. If you ask me, it looks more like a snow rather than a rain, but it just adds so much to this image. I absolutely love it, and obviously this is a bit of photo manipulation, so you can go with the first version like we did, or with this one. Let me know in the comments which one you like more. I'm voting for this one with the rain. And last but not least is this beauty. It's amazing, but such a simple shot of the houses, of the nature, just looks great. The main goal I set for myself when it comes to this one is still keeping this image soft like it is now, but bring up those colors of the nature a little bit. Let's start with the light. I'm gonna decrease the highlights a little bit, maybe increase the shadows, open it up to make it even softer. And when I go to color, I want to add a bit of vibrance to bring those colors of nature up. And then I'm gonna go to effects and I'll add a bit of that grain to make it look more oldish, something probably like 65. I'm not sure about vignette, maybe add a bit of white vignette, something like maybe 10, and I'm gonna go down with the dehaze to maybe like -10 and increase the clarity a little bit. Let's open it as an object and do some more things in Photoshop. I'm thinking about adding this S curve, so I'm gonna go to curves, gonna lower right here and increase right here. This is too much, so maybe I'll decrease the percentage to something like 33. Yep, I think it will bring a little bit of colors. And what I think will be cool to add, as you see this top right side right here is a bit over highlighted, and instead of decreasing highlights, I want to add a sun flare to it. So I have this sun flare number 1, it looks something like this. I can stretch it out a little bit, probably something like this, and I'm just gonna flip it to the screen. And this is obviously too much, but you getting the drift. I'm gonna move it more here. And lastly, I'm just gonna click on the curves layer and add some contrast in the mid layers. Something like this. I think we're good to go with this one. I think the mission is accomplished. This image still looks very soft. However, you can see more details now. It's a little bit brighter. And those colors of the nature, they just look so beautiful. They are popping. So I think it looks cinematic. I think it's great. And there we have it. The thing is, photo editing is very subjective. In the majority of cases, there are no right or wrong answers. Somebody will always prefer one thing over the other. But this is how I personally saw those images. As I said, I'm not saying that it's good or bad, but I think we did a pretty decent job. And I just recently made another video about photo editing. It was 180% different. It's about how to make images pop, how to make them vibrant, all of that cool stuff. Go check it out. I'll leave a link somewhere here. And if you found this video useful or want to learn more about photo editing, make sure to subscribe to the channel. It will help me tremendously and hopefully it will make you a better photo editor. I'll see you in the next one, and make sure to subscribe.